Yes, we shall begin with another ore that is known as the chalcopyrites. The ore that is known as chalcopyrites, it is the combination of copper, iron, and sulfur. So CuFeS2 is known as chalcopyrites. But our target elements are copper and iron. So we have to estimate copper and iron. So again, in this ore, as it is a natural occurring, it may contain the silica material also. So we have to determine silica also. First of all, we have to take the sample which is to be weighed around 0.300 gram. So 300 milligram. To this, we have to add again 8 ml of concentrated HCl. All these chemicals, those are given in the notebook, in the procedure also. When I will send you the procedure, you will find that all these quantities are mentioned in that procedure. So 8 ml concentrated HCl is taken in a conical flask, and then we have to add 3 ml of concentrated HNO3. This procedure is known as a dissolution of sample. So we have to dissolve this sample. So we have to heat this on low flame by placing again a stem cut funnel, which is our regular funnel, which ensures complete the dissolution, and the vapors are again condensed inside the conical flask, for which the stem cut funnel that is used, it acts as a somewhat air condenser also. Now, after complete dissolution, the solution appears somewhat dark yellow in color. Now, this solution, first of all, we have to cool this solution, and again we have to add 3 ml concentrated nitric acid and 2 test tubes of distilled water to the same conical flask. Then we have to filter through Whatman filter paper number 41. Now, on filtration, we have obtained a precipitate and a filtrate. Now, this precipitate is of silica, which is separated out from the naturally occurring ore of chalcopyrites, and the filtrate contains copper and iron. So our aim is to determine silica content and as well as copper and iron content. Now we have to wash this precipitate with 2 to 3 test tubes of hot distilled water, and we have to collect the washings in the same beaker. So we are with the filtrate and washings. Now, first of all, we have to treat this precipitate. This precipitate is, first of all, it is dried and it is to be ignited in a previously weighed silica crucible. By igniting this precipitate, we have obtained the weight of silica material that is present in the ore. Now we are with this silica content, that is what we call as a X gram, and by knowing this value we can calculate the percentage of silica in the ore. Now we have to treat this filtrate and washing which contains copper and iron. Now to calculate the percentage of this copper and iron, first of all we have to dilute this solution to 100 ml. First of all, whatever washings and filtrate is there, first of all we have to dilute this solution to 100 ml. Now after dilution, this diluted solution contains copper and iron. This contains copper and iron. So first of all we shall determine copper from this filtrate. So now we are with diluted solution of this copper and iron. To determine the content of copper, first of all we have to take 10 ml of this diluted solution of ore To this again we have to add 5 ml 2 normal sulfuric acid, which is a table reagent, and we have to add a very dilute solution of potassium permanganate, which is almost purple in color, to this solution till the solution turns to be faint pink in color. Now, after adding KMnO4 solution, some 5 to 10 drops are required. Then we have to neutralize this solution by adding 1:1 ammonia solution, because we have added so much quantity of acid in the beginning for dissolution of this. Hence, we have to first of all neutralize this solution by using ammonia. So after adding ammonia, when the solution turns to be alkaline or when the solution turns neutral, the turbidity is obtained, somewhat a milky white colored solution that is obtained. Now to this solution, again we have to add 3 ml 2 normal acetic acid solution that is to be added to this solution, and 0.6 gram of Na2HPO4 sodium hydrogen phosphate, so as to precipitate iron in the form of ferric phosphate here, because the filtrate contains copper and iron. So to precipitate this iron, we have to add sodium hydrogen phosphate, then a precipitate of ferric phosphate that is obtained, that is FePO4. Now, after this precipitation, again we have to add to this solution 10 ml 5% potassium iodide solution is to be added, and this content is to be titrated. That means whatever iodine you obtained, that is to be titrated by using sodium thisulfate solution, by using starch as an indicator. The color is, endpoint is color is blue to colorless or blue to milky white color. What we call this is a YML, that is a constant burette reading. So by using this Y, we can calculate the percentage of copper, which I will show you in the calculation. The calculations are very simple. Just we have to put the value of this Y. Now we have to treat the same solution for the content of iron. So to determine the content of iron, first of all, we have to remove copper from the solution. So first of all, we have to follow the procedure for removal of copper. So we have to take 25 ml of the diluted solution from 100 ml diluted solution, 25 ml. To this 3 ml concentrated HCl is to be added, and we have to heat this solution on a tripod stand. After heating, we have to pass H2S for about 2 to 3 minutes. The solution contains copper ion. After passing H2S, the copper and sulfide, they unite to form copper sulfide, which is almost black color precipitate that is obtained. This precipitate is to be filtered, and on filter paper, copper sulfide precipitate is retained, while the filtrate which contains iron. So this is how we have removed this copper in the form of copper sulfide. And now we are with this filtrate with this iron. We have to wash this precipitate with distilled water, and we have to collect the filtrate and washings in a separate beaker. Now we have to heat this content, that is filtrate and washing, to remove excess of H2S, because for the complete precipitation we have passed H2S in excess. So the hydrogen sulfide gas is in dissolved condition. In order to remove this, we have to heat the solution. How can we identify that H2S has been removed? Just prepare a moist lead acetate paper. When H2S fumes are coming out of the beaker, the lead acetate paper turns to be mirror-like image that is obtained. This indicates that filtrate contains still H2S. So when there is a negative test obtained for lead acetate paper, this indicates that H2S has been completely removed. At this stage, again, this solution is to be treated with this for the estimation of iron. Now, how can we estimate the iron? First of all, we have to take in burette 0.025 normal potassium dichromate solution, and to this solution thus obtained after removal, this solution is to be treated for the estimation of iron. From this solution, first of all, we have to take 10 ml of this diluted solution from which H2S has been removed. To this solution, again we have to add 2 ml concentrated HCl solution, and we have to boil this solution till the solution turns to be yellow in color. When the solution turns yellow in color, indicates that ferrous ion is completely oxidized into ferric state. At this stage, again, we have to add dropwise stannous chloride solution, that is a 5% solution of stannous chloride solution. So here ferrous ion has been converted into ferric state. Stannous chloride acts as a reducing agent which converts ferric ion into ferrous state. So exact reverse phenomena takes place. So here the solution turns to be colorless. So yellow color solution turns to be colorless, which indicates that ferric ion is reduced to ferrous state. Now at this stage, again, we have to add a few drops of saturated mercury chloride solution till slight turbidity is obtained. Then we have to add diphenylamine indicator. We have used this indicator in last year also. Initially, the light green color is obtained by adding diphenylamine indicator. When we titrate with the help of this potassium dichromate, the solution at the end point turns to be violet. This indicates that complete iron has been neutralized by potassium dichromate, and hence the end point is obtained. This we call as a ZML, which is known as a constant burette reading. So by knowing this constant burette reading, we can determine the quantity of iron that is present. So this is how we can obtain the solution. So this entire procedure that we have to follow for another second reading and third reading also. So which ensures the correct burette reading. So by using this correct burette reading, we can calculate the content of iron. So this is how we have today completed the stainless steel, that is the alloy analysis. In addition to which, we have also completed the estimation of ore, that is a dolomite, and the second alloy that is known as a chalcopyrites. So this is how we have estimated certain ions. So here I have completed almost all the practical course. Now your job starts now. You have to write these experiments, and I will send after this lecture. I will send the calculations how to calculate, and you have to put the values of constant burette reading. You have to change the constant burette reading that I am sending little bit by 0.5 ml or so, and you have to calculate so that you will be familiar with the calculation part also. Sometimes during exam time, examiner may give you a constant burette and you will be asked to calculate the percentage of iron, copper, or zinc, and so on. So you have to make the calculations at your own. That will give you much more confidence for the practical examination also. So I wish you all the best for your theory as well as the practical examination. Today is a holiday because we are celebrating in India Guru Purnima. So I wish you all a happy Guru Purnima and thank you very much for your cooperation. Thank you very much. If you come across any difficulty up to your examination, I will be there to help you better. Thank you very much. Take care.